Good evening and welcome to this regular session of the Lakeville Area Schools Board of Education. This meeting is officially called to order. You please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Board members in attendance tonight include Director Kelleher, Director Shinley, Director Lind, Chair Baker, Director Carly Anderson, Director Thompson. The board is joined by Assistant Superintendent Dr. Emily McDonald, members of the Executive Cabinet, Bill Holmgren, Dave Haveman, and Brenda Albrecht. So we'll move into good news. So Dr. McDonald?
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Nope.
There we go. Thank you so much. I have quite a bit of good news tonight, which is great. The first thing is Students of the Month. So Lakeville Area Schools has a Student of the Month recognition program that highlights an elementary, middle, and high school student each month. Students are nominated by staff members. We are excited to announce that November's Students of the Month are Olivia Marek, 2nd grade, JFK, Charlie Briza, 8th grade, Kenwood Trail Middle School, and Jay Reef, 12th grader at Lakeville South High School. Congratulations to our amazing students. We also have go ahead, they deserve it. We also have a Staff of the Month program, and we are excited to recognize a number of staff members each month, and they are nominated by other employees, which is really great. Our November Staff of the Month are Ringo Shida. He is a custodian at Lakeville North High School, and Ashley Weber, who is a 7th grade English teacher at McGuire Middle School. Thank you both for your service, and congratulations. Our Lakeville North girls soccer team competed at state after becoming the Class AAA section champions on October 17th. The Lakeville North High School girls soccer team went on to compete in the quarterfinal game at the 2023 Girls Soccer Class AAA state tournament on October 24th. So congratulations to our North girls soccer team. Our Lakeville North tennis doubles team also took second in state, which is absolutely outstanding. The Lakeville North High School girls tennis doubles team of Kiera Kelly, grade 11, and Addie Bowlby, grade 12, finished in second place in the doubles championship game at the 2023 Girls Tennis AA State Tournament on October 27th. That is a huge honor. Congratulations to our second place finishers. Lakeville Area Schools cross-country student athletes compete also at state. So on Saturday, November 4th, students from Lakeville North and Lakeville South boys and girls cross-country teams competed at the 2023 cross-country Class A state tournament. The Lakeville North boys cross-country team took 9th overall, and Lakeville South boys cross-country team took 16th overall. We want to congratulate everyone on the teams for a great season. Thank you. And last but not least, our Lakeville Area Schools Community Education Department and the Lakeville Chamber of Commerce's co-sponsored program, Treats, Trades, and Tours, a middle school career club, has won a project award from the Minnesota Community Education Association. And it is my great pleasure to invite up our Director of Community Education, Steve Porter, and Annette Salmon to share a little more about this honor.
Good evening, members of the school board, faculty, and guests. I thank you for this opportunity this evening. Oh, the mic needs to be turned on.
Oh, we want to hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Thank you for this opportunity to come here this evening and share the really great news. So my name is Annette Salmon, and I am here representing the Minnesota Community Education Association, otherwise known as MCEA, to recognize a special partnership that exists within this community. As a member of the MCEA board, one of my greatest pleasures is to travel across the state and visit schools and school district activities and see what's happening in other communities. We are here to celebrate a remarkable partnership in this particular community. Treats, Trades, Tours, a middle school career club, a program that exemplifies the spirit of collaboration and innovation. This program, conducted in partnership between Lakeville Area Schools Community Education and the Lakeville Area Chamber of Commerce, has impacted the lives of middle school students in your community. Over the course of 6 weeks, students in grades 6 through 8 have been exposed to various in-demand careers, thanks to the dedication and hard work of these partners. The hands-on experience, local business visits, and interactions with professionals have not only broadened the students' understanding of potential careers, but have also ignited the curiosity and imagination. This evening, on behalf of MCEA, it is my pleasure to present the 2023 Regional Project Award to the Lakeville Area Schools Community Education Department and the Lakeville Area Chamber of Commerce. This recognition is a testament to their commitment to inspire the next generation of professionals. We commend your tireless effort, collaborative spirit, and passion for providing valuable experiences to your students, your dedication in sharing a brighter future for those young minds. Krista Jeck, Pam McNutt, Cindy Nolan, and Megan Reese, thank you for your commitment to education, innovation, and the well-being of students. We look forward to witnessing the continued success of programs like Treats and Trades and Tours in Lakeville Area Schools. Congratulations.
Let's give one more round of applause for these fabulous people and the collaboration. Thank you so much. And thank you, Annette. Congratulations. Thank you. Although that concludes our good news for this evening, you can always learn more about good news mentioned tonight and other student and staff accomplishments at isd194.org/news. So thank you.
That was amazing to hear all of that. Thank you so much. I'm going to add on to your good news a little bit, just to let you know that the Blazing Cats, the Lakeville team, won state for their soccer tournament, I want to say for the 4th year in a row. So they are undefeated as of yet. And I had one student that I talked to that was a senior, and he's like, all 4 years. So congratulations to the Blazing Cats. So for board communications, we have had quite a bit going on our board, so have a few updates for you. First, we had a stakeholder session tonight. We had quite a few people in attendance for board members. It was myself, Director Carly Anderson, and Director Kelleher. We had a total of 5 different speakers. Most were speaking on the sale of the parcel of land behind Kenwood. We had 2 students, a coach, and some district staff that participated in that. The concerns noted were the use of the land by the Nordic ski team, the cross-country team, and some environmental studies that go on in that land. So those were the issues that were brought before the board. For advisory council updates, for 917, we have Director David Anderson on that one. He is attending the Association of Educational Service Agencies Leadership Conference right now in California with the 917 board members and leadership staff. And then Director Kelleher had an update on the Special Education Advisory Council.
I left my notes at home, so I just ran over real quick to tell Dave he can help me, coach me on what we talked about. I believe the agenda items, the first item was talking about the goals of what SEEK is going to be doing, pursuing over the next year.
That is correct. So we spent a good deal of time going over the 4 goals that we have as a special ed department for the year that relates to our strategic plan and the operational plan.
Correct.
So we went through those 4 goals and then gave an update. I think we've done 8 or 9 listening sessions now of the 14 or 15 sites that we're going to do listening sessions at with the special ed staff, collecting their input on what we do well in those 4 areas, what we need to improve in those 4 areas, so we can synthesize that data in order to make some plans as we move forward.
And a lot of really good dialogue and discussion and conversations we've received this year. We're kind of revamping how the special ed advisory group is operating. Got a lot of positive feedback on that operation, but also a lot of discussion on a support group and a parent PTO type group, and a lot of healthy dialogue.
Yeah, I would agree. And then we had a short that turned into a maybe medium-sized presentation on just some basics in special ed, on how students qualify, to what some of the definitions are, to just laying some groundwork with the crew when it came to like just giving them the education we feel like they need, so everybody has the same basis from which they're starting.
Yep. Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a very good meeting and very well attended.
Awesome. I love to hear that. At our work session on November 14th, the board formed 2 subcommittees, the Public Engagement and a Policy Committee. The Public Engagement Committee will work on developing opportunities for the board to engage with the public to fulfill our board goal of engaging with the community. Board members on this committee include Director Carly Anderson, Director Lind, and Chair Baker. The Policy Committee will work on developing new policy and/or amending current policy. The board also discussed the Policy Committee developing a board handbook. Board members on this committee include Director Shinley, Director Thompson, and Director Kelleher. As part of the board's goal to increase public engagement, the board decided at our working session on November 14th to hold 1 stakeholder session and 1 public comment session monthly. The stakeholder session will occur on the 3rd Tuesday of the month, and public comment will be held on the 4th Tuesday of the month. The pre-registration process for the stakeholder session will not change. Any updates or changes to our meeting days and times will be posted on the website. Public comment will start with our regular board meeting on January 23rd. The board approved the following guidelines for public comment. Public comment will be held prior to a regular board meeting from 6:15 to 6:45 with the full board present as much as possible. It will not be recorded but is open to the public to come and listen. Public comment is a time for the board to listen to and understand concerns. There will be no board response during the session. If a question is posed to the board or any follow-up is needed, the board will defer it while the appropriate information is gathered. The board may redirect the follow-up to the superintendent if necessary. Speakers must arrive no later than 5:45 to register in person and must be a resident or staff member of Lakeville Area School District. Speakers will be randomly drawn and will have 3 minutes to address the board. Speakers must provide respectful comments and refrain from complaints about school personnel, identifying people by name, and comments that are defamatory in nature. Any violation of the guidelines will result in the chairperson ending the speaker's comment time. Also on November 14th, the board moved into closed session for the superintendent evaluation process. The board received an update on the superintendent's progress on the 3 goal areas, which include leadership for decision-making, budget development and maintenance, and developing relationships. Updates included the development of district dashboards to provide additional information on district financials, academics, and demographics, long-range facility planning, and building systematic consistency across the district. The superintendent also shared engagement opportunities, including meeting with high school students, community leaders, and community partners. The board will receive another update in the spring before the final evaluation in July. All right, so we'll move on to additions for the agenda, and I do not think we have any tonight. So do I have a motion to approve the agenda? So moved. A motion by Director Lind. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Director Shinley. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Do I have a motion, or actually, let's go back here. Are there any items that board members would like to remove from the consent agenda for further discussion? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Director Kelleher. Do I have a second to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Second by Director Lind. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll put it to a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, so we've approved the consent agenda. We'll move on to reports. And is there an enrollment update? Is that Bill? All right, thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the school board, and Dr. McDonald. This night I have just a little short presentation just to let you see where we are when we're talking about our enrollment. Of course, we're going to talk about the current, and we're going to talk about projected numbers. We have a new projection from TeamWorks going forward. Now, of course, we talk about this when we're talking about our levy, we're talking about this when we're talking about our budget, but our enrollment drives almost everything that we receive in revenue, pretty much 99% of that in some type of a formula. So it defines our budget. It also defines our staffing, the number of people that we have employed and what we can afford. Also our program delivery, looking at our programs that we have offered, where they're offered, and to whom they're offered. And of course, it's all tied back to our facility planning and maintenance too, as we continue to see more and more students coming into our school district. Here's the latest numbers. Actually, you can see from this past year, when we moved from fiscal year 22 into 23 we just finished, we were up over 300 students this past year. So considerable growth. This year, it has slowed a little bit. You see that we've hit over 12,000 students. So we're at 12,022, that's our October 1 date. That's kind of that magic number where the state ties to and starts giving our revenue tied to those numbers. Now, the two numbers here, the blue is really just looking at our birth rate combined with our cohort model. And if you look at the red numbers, that includes all the expected housing that's coming into our district. Now, when we budget, of course, we're using the lower number. We're not using the red line, but just so you're aware, there's an expectation we're going to see a lot of students in the very near future. So again, it's just the next 5 years. You see here, we're looking at 1,345 students in the next 5 years, and that's about 11%. So that's over 2% on a yearly basis, even though last year we had 2.5%, a little more than we used to. I mean, we usually do, but right now we're running about 2%. We break this down by elementary, middle school, and high school. You can see the elementary just continues to climb. If you look in 29, you saw a small slowing there. We'll see if that happens when the time comes. But our real piece to look at is look at the middle school. That's been relatively flat the last few years, and where the blue line's going across, that's right now, that's where we're at. And what we're expecting is all those new students that were in the elementaries now will be coming into our middle school. Question?
Bill, refresh my memory. Where do our online school students go? Are they correlated to their home school or whatever based on their boundaries, or are they counted
Yes.
different? Okay.
Yes, so when you look at a particular building, yeah, they're tied to that when we look at our total enrollment. But of course, they are online students.
They're online students, but they, are in these numbers and projections, that goes back to the
included.
building that their neighborhood goes to?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, I just want to point out that we're going to see some pressure in our middle school relatively quickly. Already at Century Middle School, we've seen a lot of growth there in the last 2 years, where they're up to 950 students in that building. High school, again, same kind of story. You'll see that it's been relatively flat the last few years, but when we get out to 27, 28, we're going to see some growth there. And that'll be the second piece we need to look at when we look at our facilities. Because, of course, the elementary, we need it now, but we are opening an elementary school this fall, and it's going to take a lot of pressure off of those buildings. This pushes out just a few more years, and we really aren't seeing any decrease at all in our enrollment. If you look very close at the line, you look out there at 33, 34, there's a little deceleration in those totals. But again, looking at about 2,559 students over 10 years, 21% more students than we have today. And again, that's running about 2.5%. If you look at the 10 years, 2.5. Okay. So just in summary, I guess we really continue to see a lot of growth in our community. Housing development has slowed some with the new housing that's coming forward to the city is a little slower than it has been, but it's still more than we've had in the past. Still, we're seeing a lot of growth, even though it's slowed down. And again, looking at about a 2.1, 2.2% increase. So 1,345 the next 5, 2,500, almost 2,600 in the next 10 years. And that really our pressure point will be our middle schools
and it's going to be very shortly. Yeah, so anyway, I know that Director Van Zyl is bringing back the facility group. They'll start looking at facilities here already next week, so we have to get a plan put together relatively soon. With that, is there any questions on any of that information?
Director Thompson?
Yeah, I appreciate the visualization. Can you go back to the slide where you have how many kids there were in elementary, middle school? Perfect, that one, yeah. So this is fascinating. The blue line is that's where we're at today, correct?
Correct.
So I'm looking at the middle school, and we've got about 2,659 students today. What is our middle school capacity, just out of curiosity? Is it 2,660, or like how much room do we have left?
I don't, every building's a little bit different.
Okay, yep.
Okay, but I don't have the heart that I should have thought about bringing that number with me.
That's okay.
But when we start hitting that 2,800 student level, we're going to be very full in our middle schools.
Okay, so an additional 200 students would top us out in the middle school level.
Yeah, it's gonna get crowded like it is in our elementary schools now, as you know, like in like Marion and Cherry View, where we have classes and happening in media centers because we don't have enough classroom space for those students.
So as I'm looking at the second in the middle graph, in 2 years, 2,829. That's what's projected. Is that with the birth rate count of third, fourth, and fifth graders that are coming through? And that's not including any of the additional new housing kids that will be coming in. So the 2,829 projection is on the conservatives. I mean, it's
This is on the conservative
low
side.
side, meaning that
I agree.
we could get
Yeah.
significantly more.
Yeah, we could actually see more than this, but again, when we're looking at our budgets, and same with facilities, we don't want to have more than we need, right? So we're going to bring forward just what we need. And of course, we look at this every year, so we can see any changes that are happening currently.
So if we have 200 more students over the next 2 years, we're going to be at capacity, and we don't have another middle school to alleviate some of those pressures. So just want to make sure we're good.
Yeah, like I say, there will be pressure at the middle school level, and we do have a group working on that to bring back recommendations to the board of what that next step should be to alleviate that pressure.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions from board members? Okay. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, thank you.
Our next update is for the EML negotiations, and that's Brenda.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Dr. McDonald, and members of the school board. I received a request for an update regarding our negotiations with EML, which is our teachers union. So I'm just going to give a high-level update on where we're at right now. The district has been meeting with Teachers Education Minnesota Lakeville to negotiate the 2023-2025 collective bargaining agreement since July of 2023. Although there are a number of non-financial language items that we have tentatively agreed on, showing some progress, there are a number of outstanding language items that have significant financial impact brought forward by the union, and a number of language items brought forward by the district relevant to the staffing process and finances paid by the district for union-related business. The Teachers Union EML financial proposal includes a 10% increase to the salary schedule in year 1 of the contract and a 4% increase to the salary schedule in year 2 of the contract, as well as other increases and financial language items for a total increase of 19.15%. The district explained in a written response to the union that their financial proposal at a union estimated increase of over $5.5 million would indubitably place the district's finances in statutory operating debt. The operating debt of a school district means the net negative unreserved general fund balance calculated as of June 30th each year in accordance with the Uniform Financial Accounting and Reporting Standards for Minnesota school districts. If the amount of the operating debt is more than 2.5% of the most recent fiscal year's expenditure amount for the funds considered under Subdivision 1 of Minnesota Statute 123B.81, the net negative undesignated fund balance is defined as statutory operating debt. The district explained that when the union's financial proposal is exceptionally high, It forces the district to counter exceptionally low, thus setting a narrative that the district does not respect the work of teachers, which couldn't be further from the truth. In the hopes that teachers' EML would lower their initial proposal, the district decided to table a counteroffer on all financial items to avoid perpetuating the myth that teachers are not valued by presenting a low counteroffer. However, EML still has not adjusted its proposal to the salary schedule. The district counter-offered a proposal of a 1% increase to the salary schedule in year 1 of the contract and a 1% increase to the salary schedule in year 2 of the contract with no other financial increases for a total increase of 4.91%. The district does meet again with EML on Wednesday, December 6th for our next negotiation session, and that is my update.
Do we have any questions from board members? Director Thompson?
Yes. Okay, thank you. So make sure I'm understanding this correctly. So there was a proposal of a 10% salary increase, salary and wages increase. Is that my understanding? Is that
Yes,
what I heard?
10% to the salary schedule.
For year one.
Year 1.
And then
yeah.
4% to year 2.
Correct.
So just for simple math, what is our salary and benefits? I mean, what is the salary line item that we're projected to spend in not 2023, what is it for, what is the total amount that we're spending, just so I can better understand?
You mean currently?
Currently, in our annual budget, is it 85 million is what we?
I think
Okay, so roughly, so for the sake of I don't want to say an incorrect number, but I just want to make sure I'm understanding, because I think salaries and benefits is roughly 85 million of the overall budget. And so I just want to make sure that is 10%, it's an additional $8 million. Is that what they're asking for?
Well, it's 10% to the salary
the
schedule.
salary schedule,
Right,
okay.
which means it would be 10% on each step and lane. And then teachers also get a step advancement, so it would be the step advancement plus the 10% on the addition to that step. So, for example, if I'm on a MA step 10,
Yep.
and the next school year I move up to a step 11, and at step 10 I make, I'm just going to make up a number, $80,000, and at step 11 I make $83,000. I'm just making something up.
Yep.
It would be the $3,000 plus the 10%
Plus
on
an
top
additional
of that.
10% of the 83, so it'd be an extra $8,000 from the 83.
Right.
Okay, so then
right.
the ask is making that $91,000 in this particular example. Got it. And so our savings account balance, I believe, we're projected to have roughly $4.5 million. And so if our salaries are roughly in the $80 million and we're looking for a 10% increase, that's $8 million, which again would put us in the negatives by $4 million, is how I'm understanding it.
I'll leave that up to Bill.
Right? It is.
The budget we brought forward does include change in the salary.
Yep. What did we spend last year?
The costing for the teachers going forward, what we're working right now, the total package for our base is at $93 million.
Okay.
That's where we're starting.
Got it.
Okay?
And that's not, that's salary and benefits together.
Just salary is at 58.
58.9. Okay, so that's the number I'm looking for. So 58.9, 10% increase. So we're looking at an additional $5.8 million in year 1, and then an additional 4% increase in year 2. And as it says right now, we're projected to have only $4 million in the bank by end of January of next year. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Any further questions? All right, thank you,
Thank you.
Brenda. For reports with recommended action, we have the bond sale, and that's going to be presented by Bill.
Madam Chair, Directors of the School Board, Dr. McDonald, as we talked earlier, tonight is our bond sale for our LTFM projects. I have from Ellers, we have Shelby McCoy. I'll have her come on up. And I won't steal her thunder because we have good news from the bond sale today from what we projected in the pre-sale report that we presented to you a week ago. it's better than we were talking about. So it's all good news, but I'll go ahead and give you the floor, okay?
I'll get these passed out. I brought hard copies.
Oh, thank you.
So the cell day report can't be produced till today, because obviously we don't know the results. So, there you go.
Thank you.
Just sitting here in PDF.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks. All right. Like Phil said, I'm Shelby McQuay. I'm chair. Thanks for having me tonight. So what happened between when Greg was here presenting the pre-sale report, everything was compiled. We did a rating call with Bill and Michelle, and then the bonds were actually sold today. And rates have been dropping over the last few weeks, and they're volatile too, right? So they're going up and down, but we had a really good day. There were, about 10 bidders signed up, ready to go this morning. We were estimating 4.5% in terms of the interest rate, and we received a little over 3%, or you received a little over 3%. So really, really good results overall. So we're going to issue the full $20.85 million, and like you do very regularly, this is a combination of bonds and pay-as-you-go cash to complete your projects over the next 2 fiscal years for whatever qualifies under long-term facilities maintenance. So not completely flexible in terms of your needs of your district, but certainly addresses the deferred maintenance and indoor air quality of the district. So here we go. The rating, you have a credit enhancement rating of a AA1. You have an underlying rating now of an A1. 13 bids came in. The low bidder was Jeffries out of New York. And what that 4.5 change to the 3.08 true interest cost resulted in is about $250,000 lower in your overall levies compared to where we were estimating them at the time of pre-sale. You'll have the funds available on December 21st to start those projects or continue those projects and pay those out of that project fund. Your action item tonight is to adopt the sale or adopt the resolution with the sale, awarding the sale to Jeffries. So I'm just going to go through a couple of the details here, and feel free to jump in and ask any questions as we go. So the first set of documents is the bid tabulation, which presents not only the winning bidder, but the second and the following bidders there in the order of the true interest rate. So bids nationwide are coming in for Lakeville. So Jeffries out of New York, BOK out of Milwaukee, Loop Capital out of Chicago, Boston, Minneapolis, a local bidder here, New York, Dallas, Cincinnati, Cleveland, another out of New York, Milwaukee, Chicago, and again, TD was the high bidder there at 3.28. So still well under where we were predicting, just a few weeks ago. The next set of documents then is just an update of what Greg presented a couple weeks ago. So authorized amount was the 20.8. The total bond amount that we actually did issue today, the par amount was, again, that 20.8. We'll just do this over a term of 11 years. You'll have the funds available. They did offer a pretty big premium. So your bond sold at an amount higher than the face value, and you were able to deposit that into the construction fund. So about 1.7 more than we were estimating at the time of the pre-sale. Underwriter's discount, so the underwriter takes their fee, the legal costs are taken out of that as well. The debt service schedule here that will go to Bill and Michelle, and they'll make sure that's incorporated into your levy each year on where you're actually going to pay back the bond payments for the term of the 11 years. So the big debt plan here, your overall capital plan, so your existing debt, your capital lease levies, your capital project levy, the general fund component, so that's the cash that you're generating each year, and then the bond payments with a little bit of aid coming out of that as well. So the intention here is to make sure that doesn't fluctuate on an annual basis, but stays as steady as possible. And so that's the pictorial of that, 21, 22, and then we saw those big increases in home value, which corresponded to then a decrease in the tax rates overall. So keeping relatively level and then steady term over the rest of the term of the bonds that we have incorporated into the plan right now.
Can I just make a comment about that slide? Because I think that slide is always really important for people to understand. That shows how steady we try to keep the tax impact to our taxpayers. So when we're going out for referendums and stuff, we look very closely at this to make sure that we're fitting it in places where other taxes may be falling off because bonds are expiring and so forth. And so I know during this last levy referendum, there's a lot of questions about being taxed to death, but we always have to ask for the taxes, but there are taxes that are coming off at the same time. And so that picture to me is very critical for our community to see how steady we try to keep their taxes. And if there are increases to their taxes while taxes are falling off and we're technically increasing their taxes with our asks, but with other things falling off, a lot of the increases they're seeing is because the value of their property is increasing, which is because of the strength of the city and the school district or whatever that they may be in. So I think that's really important for people to see how steady we intentionally plan when we go out and ask for dollars.
And not only that it's steady in the sense of additional debt, but you're also leveraging to the extent possible cash that you can keep the borrowing down.
Yep.
And generating, and those green dash lines are the cash that you're able to generate to complete your project, so you're not borrowing 100%.
Everything. We're just borrowing portions
Yep.
of it and
Exactly.
paying as we go in other areas.
Exactly.
Yep.
So the final document here is the credit opinion from Moody's. So a lot of discussion on the narrow fund balance, and they did assign you then an A1, which is a lower rating that you've had in the past, and really looking to that narrow fund balance. So I won't get into all the details here of the credit report. It looks very similar to what you've seen in the past, but can answer any questions related to that. So that is, that's the discussion item for the presentation, and happy to speak to the resolution as well if you need me to.
Director Thompson?
Yeah, can you clarify the ratings again? So when
Yeah.
Greg came last time, he shared with us that we were an AA2 rating, which is a step down from the AA1 rating. And so what I recall is that only the AA2 rating that we have is still amongst like the top 10% of all districts out there, but it is a step down from the AA1 rating that we've historically have had. Now, I just heard you say that we're now an A1 rating.
Right.
Do you mean to say we're an AA1 rating, or actually do we step down to an AA2 to an A1, or an A1 rating? Does that make sense? Did we step down one, or did we go back up?
You step down.
Okay, so we're 2 steps down.
Yes.
From where we were originally.
Yes.
Got it. I'm sorry, not from where we were originally, of where we would like to be.
Yes.
After this assessment.
And it's, school districts participate in the credit enhancement program, so your underlying rating is buffered a little by the fact that you can play off that AAA rating that the state has. Of course, they don't assign on the credit enhancement portion the AAA that the state has. They assign it one notch under at the AA1.
Yep. So again, I would,
Go ahead.
so my understanding, my assumption would be, again, technically, since we don't really have $4 million in the bank yet until the end of the fiscal year, because that's what of our calendar school year, that's what we're projecting. They're just going off of what we have right now, and so that warranted a downgrade, I would assume.
So Moody's mostly will give the rating based on audited financials.
Yeah,
And
what
so
we just had.
the larger discussion did take place on
Yep.
the projections.
And so
Go ahead.
And so the faster, well, not the faster, but ideally, to be in a fiscally stronger position, we want roughly about 8-10% of what we spend in expenditures. Again, that I want to make sure that everyone knows we want to be in that $15 to $20 million savings account bucket, obviously as quickly as we can, so that when we do loans or things like that, we get the best rates possible, but without doing detrimental harm to our progress that we've made with our academics and improvements that we want to do. All right, a couple things I just want to share. I think this is fantastic. Let me rephrase that. Thank you for the good news, because when we got the original proposal, we did get an estimate of an interest payment of about 4.5%, and then today you're saying it came in at about 3.1, which is good. We were originally supposed to get about $21 million, and we got about 22.9, so an extra 1.5 million than we were anticipating. So then facilities has additional capacity and some flex, which is good. And then I did see the underwriting discount. I just want to call it out. I think we were projected to spend at 208, and then it came in at 73,000. So appreciate the discount there. So.
Yeah, that's the underwriter discount, so the underwriter's
All right,
Jeffries
yeah.
and.
I have another question, but I'll pause it if there's anyone else has comments.
Director Carly Anderson.
I just wanted to I think I just understand this based on what Brian just said, but, so when we're talking about what we were told before versus now, and the change, we're downgraded according to Moody's, but the interest rate came in better, so that was just lucky based on the day. If we had a higher rating, we would have gotten an even lower interest rate today.
Probably.
Yeah, so generally, we assume about 5 basis points movement in between those ratings. It's a little buffered by the fact that you have that credit enhancement rating. So when underwriters or investors look to purchase or make in their investments, they like a higher rating. But the demand was out there today.
Okay.
And likely purchased and know the underlying strength of the district and kind of backed that up. But yeah, the rating generally kind of flows with that.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Director Thompson?
I do, but not for, I do for Bill, if that's okay. Got it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So for these bond sales, it goes to our capital projects, and we're getting about $21 million to fund all of the projects that we plan to do this year and then plan to do next year. Correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and so just to highlight just a couple things that I did receive, we're doing floor replacement for 500, mechanical upgrades, fuel tank removals, heating plants, chilled water. We've got some, what does this see? Health and safety proposal budgets, so fiscal hazard control, hazardous substance, like these are things that we have to do to either maintain, but also from a health and safety perspective, like things that we need to fix. And so that's where the $10 million we're going to spend for this year, and then you've got $10 million worth allocated for next year, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what the bonds will be used for. Health and safety, when you hear about health and safety, it's health and safety of the building, okay? I think some people get confused as health and safety of the student. It's really health and safety of our buildings. So we want to bring in clean air for the students, but it's really the building that's got to do the work.
And so I want to clarify my understanding that these funds for these capital projects are not coming from the general fund. This is a separate bucket of money that is allocated towards it from the state as well as property taxes, correct?
The bonds that we're selling tonight all go into our capital or our building fund, every single dollar.
Yep.
Okay? And we spend them out of Fund 6. And when we pay them off, it doesn't come from the general fund. It comes from our levy and our debt service fund.
Yep.
Okay? But there is a portion of our LTFM funds that run through the general fund, and that's our pay-as-you-go levy portion. So about a third of the projects that we do in LTFM run through the general fund, and 2/3 runs through the Fund 6 or our building projects fund.
And can I just add, and that is what helps keep that level, when you go back to that colored bar chart, that's what helps keep that level.
Yeah, every time we look at selling bonds, we look at that chart.
Yep.
And if we see something coming off, that'd be a year maybe we can pay a little bit more. And we'll talk about this at our next meeting. But on your taxes this year, you saw that the levies that were voter approved and the other levies kind of dumped on their head, right? They flipped over. The totals aren't that much different. But it's because we're making a larger payment in our LTFM next year, because there was a bigger gap. To leave it the same, it switched. And then you'll see that from well, every few years, that'll kind of flip over again. Because we want to keep those payments out of the debt service fund as flat as possible, because we don't want to see the community see, well, I call it a yo-yo, it goes up 1 year, down 1 year, up year, and everybody's wondering what's going on. So we try to keep that as flat as possible.
Director Thompson?
So I'm trying to wrap my head around how this works, because, and again, this might be warrant for another conversation, but I'm just wondering, in this particular bond sale, yes, we get $22 million, but we're also spending $7 million in interest over the next 10 years. And so I'm just wondering is it better off to just not take out loans and just use the existing money that we get and just use that? And so I see this purple line, and is this all the interest that we're paying every year?
There's a key there of what
existing
type
debt?
of bonds each of those payments are.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not separated by principal interest, it's the type of bond. So we have our general obligation bonds we're paying for our buildings. Like, for
Yep.
an example, South High School is getting close to being paid off, right? That's one of those bars.
Yep.
Our LTFM is one of those bars. Our new bond issue we did back in 19, so the pool and so forth, that's another section of bonds. And they're all color-coded and different in there.
Yep.
Director
So
Thompson?
then as the bars decline then, we're still getting revenue or tax income for capital projects. And so that would mean that we could do we can do projects without having to take a loan as the existing debt declines. I guess that's what I'm trying to get to, where, are we asking to get a paycheck ahead of time so that we can pay, a 30%, 30, 40, 40% interest on it later, and then we keep getting paychecks, but ahead of time in cash advance? And eventually, should we just wean away from that and just spend the money that we only receive without taking bonds? That's what I'm trying to better understand.
The demand for the projects that we need in our 18 buildings is about $16 million a year. That's not going away. We have a plan put together over the next 30 years to try to keep that also as constant as possible, so we're not seeing it go up and down. And we do have a pay-as-you-go. So it's about $7 million coming in the general fund. But in order to, we could actually do that. We could say, well, let's just levy all the money. But now everybody's going to see a 30% increase in their taxes, and we don't want to see that.
Yep.
We want to keep it as flat as possible and not ask our community for more money than they're already spending.
Yep.
Director Thompson?
So if we're getting $7 million already annually for capital projects, but we have $16 million worth to do every year in capital projects, we've got a gap of $9 million. So we take out bonds to pay for the $9 million in capital projects. But we've got to pay the $9 million, we got to pay that back, plus $7 million in interest. And so this might be for a separate conversation, I'm sorry. This doesn't make.
Madam Chair, I'll just add to that. There's two other reasons, and so if you see just on what I've highlighted up here on the debt plan, so if you have $16 million of projects this year, we're actually taking cash of 6.8, and the bond payment is just 1.2. So there's a couple of reasons why you bond then. One is to spread the useful life of the payment over the useful life of the project, right? Like, this one's only 11 years, and likely your HVAC projects and everything is going to last much longer than that. So we don't want to extend it. It's much better to be shorter than the useful life of the project. But those people who are all moving into Lakeville then will then continue to pay on that as they get the benefit over time. So matching the useful life with the bond payment. The second reason to do bonding as a portion instead of just cash is because of the reconciliation process that the MDE requires of districts that can levy these dollars. So the construction, and I'm sure, Bill, you've said this lots of times, the construction program or schedule falls right in over the fiscal year. And so you have to make sure that your construction spending exactly matches your fiscal year for everything that comes in on a cash basis. And by shifting a portion to bonds, you, one, match the useful life, but then two, also are able to manage the accounting a little bit better so that you're not getting future adjustments from the MD.
Director Thompson?
And so making sure that I understand, I think on page 5, we have a future bond issues. So is that an understanding that in February 1st of 2026, there's a plan to to request $15.7 million in bonds? Is that how I'm reading this correctly?
Yes.
And then 2 years in 2028, we're going to do $20 million again. And then in 2030, we're going to do another $20 million. So then we're still paying interest on all of these $20 million loans. And so I don't know. All right.
Yep.
Another
And that-
conversation. Sorry. Thank you.
Well, and those projects do get refinanced too when the opportunity is right. And over the course of the many bonds that we've requested for a lot of our building projects, we've been able to refinance and save millions of dollars with that refinancing.
Yeah, and that's one thing Elders helps us with too. We look at our debt every single year, and if we have any bonds that are to that callable date where we could pay them off early, we'll refinance if we can get a lower interest rate. And we do save the community quite a bit in interest cost by doing that.
Do we have any other questions from board members? Okay, so Bill, I'm understanding that you are looking for a motion from the board to approve the bond sale. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
I'll make a
Yes,
resolution
Yeah,
for.
and I need you to pass the resolution that's in your packet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
I don't have my packet up to read exactly what the resolution says.
I don't have the resolution up here.
We don't have the
one with you?
resolution. Oh, no. We don't
This
have the resolution. On my clipboard. This one?
Do you have it up?
Print it. Is it this?
Yep.
So which part are we reading?
No, that's not it.
Box and about the
Oh,
second
here.
page.
So I'll make a motion for the resolution awarding the sales of the general obligation facilities maintenance bonds, Series 2023A, in the original aggregate principal amount of $20,850,000, fixing their form and specifications, directing their execution and delivery, and providing for their payment.
All right, so we have a motion by Director Kelleher. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Director Carly Anderson. Any further discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none, we'll put it to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Motion carries 5-1. Thank you. As there are no additions to the agenda tonight, Dr. McDonald, did you have anything for superintendent's report?
I do not. I already shared the good news of our students and staff, so that was the best part.
All right.
Thank you.
Having completed all the items on the agenda, do we have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
A motion by Director Carly Anderson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Director Lind. Any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion adjourned, or meeting adjourned, sorry. Have a good evening.
Like to sign something?
All right. Fun sitting at the big table with you all.